Hey. Hello and welcome. This is Jasur from JR & Firm and Shanghai Silk Road. As most of you know, we are a corporate consultancy with two locations, one in the US and another one in China, Shanghai. Now, today's topic is advantages of starting a company in Singapore. Now, before we go and talk about the topic, I'd like to speak a little bit about our company and introduce for some people who haven't watched our previous videos and probably new in the channel. Now, as you can see here, our services include incorporation in many jurisdictions around the globe. That includes mainly China, US, EU countries, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, Japan, Turkey, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and some of the other Central Asian countries, India, South America. And we also have post-company formation services, obviously, that includes structuring, restructuring, liquidation, maintenance, accounting and audit, corporate bank accounts, offshore corporate accounts, bilingual contracts. Bilingual in this context mean English automatically and including the local language of the country that you are incorporating your business in. Now, next thing we offer is a legal representation, especially in China, Hong Kong, and Singapore. That includes commercial dispute resolution, arbitration, lawsuits in these jurisdictions, and other countries as well that we serve in that are mentioned here. Now, also, we have market research service for companies who are entering new markets. The countries and jurisdictions which are already mentioned in the previous slide, these ones here. If you are entering these markets with your products and services, you can get in touch with us. We'll be happy to conduct thorough market research for your company. And we also have company due diligence services. This is especially in the countries where it's very hard to obtain data on local companies. For example, mainland China. We receive a lot of requests to, for example, to study local factories and especially their finances, their licenses and permits, etc., because it's simply not very easy to obtain such information from outside of China. So if you're interested, you can get in touch with us for company due diligence. And I just want to also mention that our company due diligence can be extended to company executives as well. So it's not only the company, but we can include the top personnel, like key personnel in the company that you want to learn more about. That can be local factories that you want to sign an agreement, or this can be individual entrepreneurs that you want to work with in the future. And we also have trading solutions for companies and individuals who don't want to establish companies in the countries that they want to do business in. This is again especially in China, where company registration takes time, and also it's slightly different from other parts of the world. So for that reason, many companies do not want to establish their own entities here. So for this kind of clients, we have this trading solution service. In this service, we use our own special licenses. We have different types of companies in China. We used our own permits for import and export on behalf of the clients, and we also serve as their back office sometimes on contract basis. And for quality assurance services, we can send our staff members to different factories, okay, and prepare a thorough report on the products being examined. And also we have tailor-made corporate consultancy services for people with for people and companies, obviously, with special requests and requirements. So for them, you can always get in touch with us. You can send us an email or book an appointment at jrandfirm.com/appointments. These are our email addresses. So feel free to contact us. Now, let's start the topic, advantages of starting a business in Singapore. As you know, most of you, actually, Singapore is one of the developed countries in the world, not only in Southeast Asia. So, for example, here the Singapore, just general view. And I'm sure that most entrepreneurs have already traveled to Singapore and they know the environment there. It's a very, developed country with high tech, and also the atmosphere is discussed everywhere on the internet. It's being praised for the clean environment. And the location as well, it's located in a very strategic place, Southeast Asia, south of Malaysia actually here, and surrounded by sea, which means that it's open for like easy transportation. Basically is open for I was going to say sea and the air connections, excellent air connections. And we're going to talk about the connectivity later on in the presentation, but generally speaking, it's a very, very good location for any kind of trade business. Now, let's start with advantages of starting a business in Singapore. So I'm going to explain one by one. Like in total, there are 27 advantages. So be patient and bear with me, but I will give you some facts and information. For example, number one, Singapore has the fourth least corrupt government in the world according to Corruption Perceptions Index. And that is a very important point for any country where you want to register your business in, obviously, because corruption plays a very important role in doing business in general, actually, where if the government is corrupt, and you can expect that your transactions and basically your whole business activities might be affected as well. So that's the reason why we always recommend actually taking a copy of Doing Business report by World Bank, and then picking the top maybe 20 countries, but beyond 20 you have to be really, really careful. Now, number two is Singapore is number two in the world in terms of ease of doing business. This is the report I was talking about actually. This report is stopped. It was actually the last report was 2020. And that was the last copy, but after that, for different reasons, World Bank, didn't want to continue with the report. But so far, we've got enough evidence that Singapore and the other countries as well, which are included in the report, they have enough data to make a decision. So in this last report, we can see Singapore as number 2 out of 190 jurisdictions around the globe. Okay. And number 3, according to Heritage Foundation Index of Economic Freedom, Singapore is number 1 in the world out of 177 nations, 177 jurisdictions to be specific. And number 4, also very important, World Economic Forum's the Global Competitiveness report. This is GCR, lists Singapore as number 1 out of 141 jurisdictions considered. Very important point here. And number 5, according to IMF, United Nations, and the World Bank reports on GDP per capita, Singapore is the 11th richest country in the world. Now, obviously, you want to locate your company in richest countries in the world, basically. Unless, of course, you have some specific needs for poor countries, but generally speaking, basing your company in wealthiest nations will make your business life easier for different reasons. And now, number 6, as we continue, English is the primary language in government documents and communication, along with Mandarin Chinese, Malay, and Tamil. Of course, English, like the wording here suggests, is the primary language, so it's very important for global clients global entrepreneurs and companies, because obviously English is a lingua franca in the world. So, if you don't want to be, troubled with, training your employees with the local language, then Singapore is your best choice, because you can straight away, hire employees from foreign countries or bring your team who speak English only. Now, number 7, as we go, according to Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and Moody, Singapore is a AAA-rated country. It's very important, guys. You can make a research on that, but this AAA is only attached to several countries in the world. So Singapore is one of them. And Singapore has zero national debt and government savings of approximately 330 billion. So Singapore is actually not in minus. It's actually without any national debt. But the government has approximately $330 billion in savings. Actually, it's very impressive. And it's always recommended actually to global clients, high net worth individuals, to use Singapore banks to store their funds. Why? Because especially during recession, during financial crisis, banks in Singapore extremely rarely declare bankruptcy. It happens all over the world in different countries, but not in Singapore. Okay, not like frequently there. So it's always recommended you work with Singapore banks if you want to save, if you want to keep your funds in a safe bank. And number 8, a simple and low tax system. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples here. For example, tax resident companies. Tax resident company in this context means basically your Singapore LLC has some transactions in Singapore. To be more specific, you have some Singapore sourced income, meaning you are selling goods or services to Singapore clients. All right. So in this case, your Singapore LLC will be considered tax resident company. So for that, you only pay 8.5% corporate tax from your 300,000 Singapore dollar annual net profit. Okay, due to government tax exemptions. So this is one very advantageous situation here. And tax resident companies can also enjoy a tax exemption of 75% on the first 10,000 Singapore dollars of their income. That's also very important to note. And further 50% on the next 290,000 Singapore dollars. Total of 152,500 Singapore dollars. That's a lot of actually benefits, tax benefits for Singapore tax resident LLCs. And taxable profits over 300,000 Singapore dollars will be taxed at a fixed rate of 17%. So many people actually assume that Singapore has this 17% tax, corporate tax, and then sometimes they are hesitant to register their companies in Singapore. But actually 17% does not apply to all situations, and does not certainly apply like in the beginning when you register your company. So you need to consider these very specific moments here, like I explained in this example. And this whole situation with the tax is actually number 2nd lowest in APAC. Okay, very impressive. And now next advantage is Singapore LLC dividends are free of all local taxes, including withholding tax. Okay, now we continue. Number 10 is Singapore has no capital gains tax. As a result, company shares and assets can be bought and sold free of all local taxes. As you can see here, Singapore presents itself on one side, it's a very developed and also a very reputable jurisdiction, but on the other side, it's got almost like a tax haven status in terms of taxes. Because why do I make this statement? Because when you consider all these tax havens, like traditional tax havens in different parts of the world, for example, all these islands in the Caribbean, or some other islands like previous British colonies, all these tax havens, they lost their reputation. Okay, so when you, for example, I don't want to discourage you from doing that, because registering a company might be done because of specific purpose, because of exact situation. But generally speaking, when you register a company in one of these traditional tax havens, it will be very, very hard to work with reputable banks around the globe, but not in Singapore and also not in Hong Kong. If you watch our previous video, we talk about advantages of registering a company in Hong Kong. Hong Kong enjoys the same reputation as Singapore. Okay, so both of them, they offer you almost the same situation, almost the same benefits as tax haven, but reputation is different. Okay, Singapore and Hong Kong, they are really respected jurisdictions, both of them. So from that aspect, we recommend Singapore. And next advantage I want to talk about is a tax resident Singapore LLC has access to 88 double tax treaties that Singapore has. And tax resident LLC, we already explained. This is the LLC where you have Singapore sourced income. Okay, you're selling goods or services to Singapore companies or individuals. And these treaties, you might want to ask, why do I need these treaties, especially new entrepreneurs? So double taxation treaties actually make your life easier if you want to minimize withholding tax on repatriation of profits to overseas parent companies. For example, if you have a company in your home country and you under this company, mother company, you establish an LLC in Singapore. In other words, this Singapore LLC is owned by another company in your country. So, or some company which is registered in a different other country. So basically, in this situation, if you want to repatriate earnings from Singapore back to the mother company, you can look at double taxation treaties. If the jurisdiction where the mother company is registered has signed a double taxation treaty with Singapore, then you can minimize withholding tax, okay, for repatriation of profits. And number 12 is also very important. The Singapore LLC pays zero tax when trading with other members of Association of Southeast Asian Nations. This is ASEAN. ASEAN countries currently Brunei, Burma, that is Myanmar, Cambodia, Timor-Leste, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore obviously, and Thailand and Vietnam. So all these countries, when you trade with them, Singapore LLC pays zero tax. Okay, that's a great advantage actually to do business in Southeast Asia. And next advantage is goods and services tax is only 7% in Singapore. Very impressive, very low tax rate. And after 12 months from the accounting year end, corporate tax can be paid by installments over the following 12 months. Actually, you don't see this kind of benefit in different jurisdictions. For example, in Hong Kong or some other developed jurisdictions where you want to register a company. So in Singapore, you can actually pay corporate tax in installments after 12 months from the accounting year end. So this is a great advantage. And next advantage is tax resident LLCs enjoy a corporate rate of 15% if they qualify for Asian headquarters status. So this is something you have to qualify first, but then corporate tax will be 15%, not 17%. And also there is another status claim, which is global headquarters. If a Singapore tax resident LLC qualifies for global headquarters status, then the corporate tax rate will be 10%. Okay, again, not 17%. And number 17, an employee, for example, your Singapore employee, if they earn 150,000 Singapore dollars annual income, they only pay 9% personal income tax, which is very low compared to other countries. When properly, this is also very important, this number 18, when properly structured, we can do that. Singapore LLC can trade with cryptocurrencies without requiring a local regulatory license and without paying any local taxes in Singapore, which is very important, guys. Because nowadays, in the last several years, actually, cryptocurrency is becoming, very famous and widely used. So you might want to, include that in your options of payment. Number 19, in Singapore, government grants are available for tax resident Singapore LLCs. For example, to encourage companies to improve their digitalization and productivity, the Singapore government, through the Infocom Media Development Authority, which is IMDA, offers subsidies of up to 80% for companies engaging IMDA-approved vendors of HR, accounting, and payroll services. So basically, if you employ approved vendors of HR, accounting, and payroll services, you will actually get subsidies of up to 80%, which is very, very generous. Number 20, Singapore is is one of the world's top financial centers, like we mentioned in the example of Hong Kong. According to Global Financial Centers Index, GFCI, so Singapore is specifically number 6 in the world. Okay, a little bit lower than Hong Kong, but still, it's one of the major players in the world. Number 21 advantage is, of course, this is very important, 100% foreign ownership of companies is allowed in Singapore compared to, for example, mainland China. Again, I don't want to discourage you to register a company in China, but still, if you can compare it, in some of the areas in mainland China, foreigners cannot be 100% owners, but in Singapore you can be. There are no restrictions here. Okay, and yeah, of course, we need to consider the area of the business when we talk about mainland China. But again, for mainland China, we will have another presentation, so we will talk about it in the next videos. So number 22, it's easy and cost-effective to set up a company in Singapore. A Singapore LLC can be incorporated within a week with only one shareholder and one director. So this is all you need. No residency or nationality requirements for the shareholder, and clients will not have to travel to Singapore during company formation. And also no paid up capital. Okay, this is also very important. You don't have to pay up any capital in Singapore. And next advantage is Singapore is ranked as the most innovative city in Asia for entrepreneurs according to the corporate advisory firm Solidians. This is, you can look up, but it's very important that your company is registered in one of the most innovative cities in Asia. Now, next advantage is Singapore's startup SG, which is it stands for Singapore. So there's a government started this company. Okay, so this company basically grants gives grants, early stage funding to support to startups, early stage funding to support branding and funding and talent attractions basically. So if you have a startup in your country, you want to relocate to Singapore, this might be an option for you. You might consider Singapore as a base location for your startup, and there is a startup SG. which grants companies early stage funding, basically. So you might want to take advantage of that. And 25, there are presently, which is also very important for all kind of companies and entrepreneurs, there are presently 119 foreign commercial banks in Singapore, and of which 28 are full banks, 54 are wholesale banks, and 37 are offshore banks. It's relatively easier to get business credit approved through these banks for promising Singapore LLCs. Okay, so if you're actively trading and your company is profitable, then you can definitely apply for credit through one of these banks. And 26 is Singapore is a great country to register a fintech company. This is a very special area of Singapore because we can definitely with confidence say that fintech is the major area in Singapore, okay, when starting a company. For example, currently there are more than 1,350, okay, that's close to 1,400 actually, fintech companies in Singapore, and this number is growing every year. Obviously, to attract local and foreign fintech companies, the Fintech Office, a virtual entity comprising various government entities, including the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Economic Development Board, Infocom Media Development Authority, and Spring Singapore, and now it's called Enterprise Singapore also, was established in May 2016. It's a one-stop office which advises fintech firms on various fintech-related government grants and schemes and helps them navigate the regulatory requirements in finance industry. So, as you can see, Singapore government they encourage all sorts of fintech companies to establish their base in Singapore and actively supports them with different questions and grants, schemes, etc., etc. So if you're a fintech company, then Singapore might be your, the best option actually for your company. Now, the last advantage that we want to talk about today, obviously, these are the main advantages here. There are also several other advantages, so I don't want to sound like, it's the last one, but yeah, definitely, this is one of the, main ones. Singapore is a great transportation hub. Connectivity is the hallmark of Singapore port. Since actually 1986, Singapore has been the busiest port in the world in terms of shipping tonnage. With annual average of 140,000 vessel calls, it's the focal point for some 200 shipping lines with links to more than 600 ports in over 120 countries worldwide. So, guys, all these advantages that we counted today, 27, are the main advantages of why one should start a company business in Singapore. Definitely, like I mentioned, there are so many other advantages as well. You can, look them up or give us a call, contact us. Once again, I mentioned our contact details in the beginning of the presentation, but feel free to send us an email or give us a call, or you can schedule an appointment actually by going to this website, grnfirm.com, and our second website has also has this functionality. You can book an appointment and we will be glad to hear from you and also discuss your questions and assist you with market entry to Singapore and other countries that we serve in. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.